Hi, LaJuan. Welcome to the Voices for Vote 16 podcast. It's so great to speak with you. So, before we start the interview, I thought we can introduce ourselves to our listeners. So, to start, I'm Anya Kara. I'm the host. I'm a high school junior in Wellesley, Massachusetts, and I'm pretty passionate about youth civic and political participation. I advocate for the Vote 16 movement, which, as you know, is focused on lowering the voting age at the local level. I serve on Generation Citizen Vote 16 Youth Advisory Board and lead a Massachusetts Vote 16 coalition and conduct research on the topic with Tough Circle. I also co-lead a youth civics club at my high school. And for some context, a year and a half ago, I launched this podcast series focused on highlighting stakeholder perspectives on Vote 16 to raise awareness and inform advocacy. I brought Vote 16 as a citizen's petition to the Wellesley 2024 annual town meeting, where it received approximately 40% support and some lively discussion. So that's me. For our listeners, Luan serves as the director of the Vote 16 USA at Generation Citizen, which I referenced earlier, and is an organization focused on amplifying the voices of young people in our democracy. Luan leads Vote 16 USA's strategic initiatives, communications, fundraising, partnerships, and grassroots campaigns. He began his career as the Community Relations Coordinator for Mayor Elorza in Providence, Rhode Island, and most recently served as the Director of Policy and Partnerships. Luan holds a master's in public policy from the University of Massachusetts Dartmouth, where he focused on education policy. So, to kick it off, Luan, can you expand on my introduction? Maybe tell our listeners a little bit more about yourself and your work at Generation Citizen with the Vote 16 movement.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you so much, Anya, for allowing me to share space with you today for this podcast. I'm very, very excited for all those that are listening. As Anya mentioned, I am LaJuan. I currently serve as the director of Vote 16 USA at Generation Citizen. And really what landed me at Generation Citizen was my very own passion for organizing and for really trying to drive change in the community that I grew up. I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts, and was involved with a lot of local organizations that advocated mostly around adequate education policy that addressed the needs of students in communities where I come from. And so there were a variety of organizing efforts and meetings that myself and my classmates have participated in. And that's really drove my passion for supporting young people. Young people have a real voice. Young people have real solutions to some of the most critical issues that we face, not just as a community, but as a nation. And so I'm really, really excited to be able to partner with youth organizers and partner with organizations that support lowering the voting age and people like you, Anya, who I think are an exemplary example of what young people can bring to the conversation and the impact that they can have on their communities.
Thank you so much. So, I'm going to start off with just like your first question on can you tell us where, in your view, we are today with the Vote 16 movement across the United States? So, I know there have been some recent successes in New Jersey and California, so maybe you can touch on those.
Yes, absolutely. So the Vote 16 movement is strong in every corner of the country. We're seeing young people organize and advocate for lowering the voting age. Currently, we have 13 cities across our country that have lowered the voting age to 16. Eight of those cities are in Maryland, and so Maryland has really served as the mecca for the movement, and they allow 16 and 17-year-olds to vote in all municipal elections. So this is school board, city council, and mayor. And so, we're really, really excited about the impact that young people have had in the state of Maryland in their communities. Just to give some context, Tacoma Park, Maryland was the very first city in the country to lower the voting age to 16 in 2013. And since then, we've seen the movement just really, really expand. Across the country, in California, we've seen Berkeley and Oakland, California, with Oakland being the largest city in the nation to lower the voting age. Both of those cities allow 16 and 17-year-olds to vote in school board elections. And you know, just again, would not be possible without the organizing and the leadership of young people in those communities. And then the others include the city of Albany, California, which is in the same Bay Area as Berkeley and Oakland. They allow for all school board, excuse me, for all municipal elections. And then you have Brattleboro, Vermont, and Newark, New Jersey as well, which allows for school board elections. So, really the movement is alive in it as well. We're seeing states now take the lead with trying to get statewide legislation that would allow 16 and 17-year-olds to vote across the state instead of just in their local communities. And so, states like New Jersey, states like Maryland, states like Oregon, Maine, we've seen real, again, in every corner of the country, these elected officials be impacted by the testimony and the organizing of young people. So, we're growing. There's cities that are, currently considering lowering the voting age as well, and we're working with young people in those communities, local organizations as well, and elected officials to get those across the finish line. So we're really excited about the progress that we've made and also the successes to come in the future.
Thank you so much. So, next I wanted to kind of ask you about what's your outlook on the Vote 16 movement and youth political participation in our country.
Yeah, fantastic question. I think the movement into the future, as I said before, is going to be, really strong. I think we've set ourselves up very nicely, at the end of 2024 for a successful 2025. And, we're continuing to build on momentum in places like New Jersey, right, who, have an upcoming school board election in the city of Newark. For the very first time in that city, 16 and 17-year-olds will be voting this April. And so, we want to build on that type of momentum in places like in Newark, that so that we can continue to expand the movement. And so, I think the future is positive. We're continuing to have conversations with young people all across the country, and I think we'll see some more big wins in 2025 and beyond. In terms of youth political participation, I think young people are eager to make a difference. I think um, when we think about social justice issues in our nation, it is young people that are leading, right? It is, when we think about climate justice reform, when we think about common sense gun legislation, when we think about adequate education policy, it is young people that are at the forefront of these issues. And I don't think that'll change. I think young people know that the decisions that we make today are going to impact them as they grow older. And so, they're at the forefront of these issues and not waiting for decisions to be made without their input. And so, I think youth wanna be involved. They're eager to provide solutions. They're eager to be a part of the conversation. And we, as people who are passionate about civic engagement and youth participation and democracy, need to ensure that we're doing what we can to make sure that their voices are heard. So that's it's an exciting time in the Vote 16 movement.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, again, thank you for sharing that. Um, so now I kind of just want to ask about what's your advice to youth and other advocates interested in taking this movement forward? And any thoughts really on how where we go from here?
Yeah, absolutely. My advice to young people who want to get involved with the movement is let's do it. Vote 16 USA is open for business. We are ready to support you. every step of the way to, to lead a coalition or a campaign in your respective city. If you want to do one more statewide, we're happy to support. If you already live in a community where this is happening, we're happy to make a connection to some of the youth organizers that are leading the way already. And so my advice is reach out. Reach out to us. We're happy to support you in any way that we can. And in terms of where we go from here, I think where we go from here is I think there's a particular focus I think between folks in the broader democracy space to really come together, to really collaborate in a way that is meaningful. The Vote 16 movement um, is a niche thing within the larger democracy space, right? So we're talking about something that's very, very specific. But there are, organizations out there that are working on democracy issues that are related to our issue. And so I think our ability to come together to share what has made our organization successful, to expand upon our ability to collaborate, to talk about opportunities, threats, is I think important to democracy moving forward. And so I think as we look towards the future, I expect that folks within this space will continue to have really, really robust conversations about how their organizations can play a role in protecting democracy and expanding it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I had if it's okay, I just had one more
Yeah,
question. And
absolutely.
it just what specific reason for Vote 16 speaks to you the most? For me, I think when I go and I talk to people about Vote 16, they're really interested in the reason of it being a habit. And I was wondering what reason kind of speaks to you?
Yeah, I think the habit argument is a really, really strong one, right? If the goal here is to ensure that we have a just and representative democracy where people feel included in the process, where people have access to the ballot box, then um, you know, the idea that voting at 16 can then um increase your likelihood that you will vote over time is an incredible argument. The other one that's I think is really, really compelling is this idea of hot and cold cognition, right? That young people have the cognitive ability to be able to make decisions when given the time, when given the resources, right? They can make decisions that they believe will impact their life, and that's what voting requires, right? Voting um, does not happen overnight, right? People over time gain taken information, right, and will translate that information to policies that they either support or don't. And young people have that ability. There's been many, many studies on this, and I think the research and data on this is really, really compelling. Not only does lowering the voting age increase long-term civic participation, young people are ready to vote from a scientific perspective. And I think both of those arguments are really, really intriguing.
Yeah, thank you. So I think everyone can find all these resources. There's some new FAQs and like one pages on the Vote 16 website.
Yep.
So please
Absolutely.
check that out if you're interested. And you know what? Thank you so much, LaJuan, and to everyone virtually listening today. And please be sure to tune in to new episodes of the Voices for Vote 16 podcast. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Anya. Really.